Okay, we are recording. All right. So today's webinar is about Agency Handy. We are going to go through the product and really figure out what makes it really stand out from the rest of the products that are out there in the market. Get some background context on both the team, what they've been working on in the past, and how they ended up with Agency Handy. And also, we'll talk about what's coming down the pipe in the next few months. For those who are considering buying, and I've gotten a lot of messages about Agency Handy privately and also via support. I have a list of the questions that some of you asked, so I will put Rashik in the hot seat and hopefully we'll get the answers to some of those questions. So let's start with maybe some just quick background on, the thing that's probably even more important than the product is the team behind it. So Rashik, can you just give us some context on who's on the team and what have they worked on before?
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining. So I'm Rashik. To be honest, the team behind AgencyHandy, I would say, is pretty interesting because we have people with SaaS background, like an IT background, but also we have actual agency owners in our founding team as well. So with me, like I have Asif, who's running his own SEO, who's focused more in B2B SaaS SEO agency. We have another partner, Ratul. He runs a digital marketing agency. Then me and Orvi, another co-founder, we mostly our job is to basically make sure we deliver the product that they want to market. So we are mostly and I have to work a bit between everything. So me and Orvi, we have been building SaaS for what, like 4 or 5 years now. We have a different product called OneThread that's also in the market, that's in the project management space. Sort of a bit mixed bag of local enterprise and a bit of international audience as well. We used to work on a different product Tigro beforehand. That didn't kick off because of pandemic, so there's not a lot we could do about it. So Agency Handy is is a product. It's not something that we came up with of the nut just on a sudden from just seeing a product and let's replicate it. To be honest, this is something that we sort of stumbled upon onto while we were pitching OneThread. So we were talking to a lot of digital agency with OneThread because it is a project management solution. After talking to I was like 50 to 100 agency owners, we realized that just managing your team is not good enough. So that is when we looked into this probably we need to tone down the team management bit a bit and then improve other aspects of proper agency management. Then I met Asif, and he had words of experience when it comes to SEO and SaaS in itself. Then we talked about it, and then we he obviously had a lot more idea going into this space, given that he had used to use SPP as well. In fact, to be really honest, my other co-founder was also one of the early user of SPP as well. So when all of us sat together, it sort of made sense that we could evolve into a different product. That makes a lot of sense, and because we could envision the journey both from my experience when it came to dealing with agency clients and their experience as agency owner as well. So that is how Agency Handy, I would say, started. Asif, if you want to add something more to that.
Nothing much. So I've been in SaaS space for last 4 or 5 years, and I have done a lot of lifetime deal as well. I have been part of employee and other lifetime deal that people have used and loved for years. So when it came to launching the product, so I was like, okay, I should go to Charlie because he is like my kind of mentor, and he helps me with my go-to-market strategy. And whenever I have some ideas, I go to him and like, hey, this is what I'm trying to think. What do you say? So when we started building this product, I actually went to Charlie, and we talked like, hey, how we can position ourselves. And then he gave us some ideas as well. So then we took time. We took I think 4 or 5 months, and then we catered the product, and we are using it for ourselves as well. So and yeah, we don't have PayPal integration and some other integration and other features that we need, But we are building fast, so we'll catch up that part as well. So yeah, so we know that we can market it well, and we have raised our pre-seed money as well. So we are, I think, in a good position right now. So I faced some, roasting post yesterday. So I was like, oh, okay. But sadly, people haven't even signed up. So I would say, like before, spreading hates or hate comments, please sign up, use the product, and if you don't like it, tell us your opinion, and we'll listen. And we are good listener. And yeah, our computer has one of our computers has raised fund from YC. Uh, and we have seen that, and we are not worried about it. Market is so big, we'll still put ourselves in a good position. So I'm not worried about competition at all. Like I always say that only competitor that we have is time.
Yep, that's
So
true.
yeah.
That's true. And I remember that conversation. So for those listening, I had spoken to Asif and Rashik months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, like you said, and also advised them to go down the path of building for service-based companies, which they did. And it did take 4 to 5 months. So I know they've been working very hard at getting to where they are today. I think chasing a company like SPP, Service Provider Pro, was the right move, largely because I don't like paying for SPP, and I have in the past. So there needs to be some more competition in this space. Luckily, there are more competitors out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. And like Asif said, there's room for everybody to be running their own productized service. So at the end of this session, I actually want to, launch something with Rashik and Asif and this whole community to try to get people to understand that anyone can probably launch a productized service today. You probably need a little bit of guidance, but if you've been in the service delivery space, you have an offer that's likely available. Now you can use a product like Agency Handy to basically optimize your operations, manage everything from one place, and that's really the value add. A product like this will typically cost $100 to $300 per month, and that's where I saw the value of introducing a product like this, especially on LTD. You don't normally get a product like this on LTD. So when you see something like this, it's always hot. There's always people who want it. And I think Agency Handy has all the bells and whistles that are needed, even currently, for it to be usable for a growing productized service. What we'll do is we'll get into the semantic details of that during this call. One question I have for Rashik is, I know you have the OneThread app. Can you just explain to people the difference between OneThread, the project management app, versus Agency Handy? How would you describe that in your own words?
So I think very simply put, OneThread is relevant for people who go very deep into managing their own team, and they sort of, I would say, to an extent, micromanage as well. And also it might be very depending on size of the company. So for example, in OneThread, what we do is basically we break it down to projects, but we also have things like your calendar view, your Gantt charts. We create your critical path for you. There is automation, workflows. I think most of it, there is customizable dashboard for each layer, for each project. Almost all of those things we have, you can also manage the time management features, attendance. So there is a whole lot of things. And the way we designed Agency Handy, and to be honest, all one of our competitors has a lot of this task management as automation as well. To be really honest, we could easily do that in Agents Handy because I have all of this built in another solution. It won't take a lot of time for me to introduce this. But to be honest, we kept Agents Handy simple, and that was by choice. It wasn't because we don't have those features built. So that was by choice, because what we realized when we looked in OneThread's data, so what we realized is there is three types of company basically. First, there is this development companies who end up using everything, your developers, software engineers who end up using everything. No matter how many features you give them, there's always more feature requests from them. Then there is second, which is a bit larger, because we also have like, companies for like 100, 200 people, companies locally here as well. So in larger companies, there's a bunch of users who are like, your heavy users who end, because even though they might need it like sporadically, but these companies end up needing a few of this, like, your critical paths for a like, long-term project, or like, a dashboard that only CEO would probably see
Mhm.
like, once in a month, but they need those like, nuanced features. But for almost everyone else, and like, we have, I'd say apart from that, our largest user base was from digital marketing, or like digital agencies in general, like, marketing. So we realized like most of them only use two features. One, like they assign people tasks, and two, employees gave updates on those tasks, and that was it. Like, people just assign them tasks, they moved on Kanban board, and like, at some point they give those updates and tasks. So when we were building Agency Handy, we wanted to keep things very simple, because what we also looked at once was that although those automations looks cool on a website, it a lot of time it ends up making people confused in terms of the core stuff that they want to do. Because especially when it comes to like, and mostly these are like, not really developers, or like, I'm not talking about like software developers here. So in most cases, people don't want to spend time here. That is like, one of my biggest takeaway was people don't want to spend time on your Agency Handy or SPB, whatever. They have like work to do. So what you need is for them to spend as little time as possible and just get work done. So that is why we kept everything very simple. And the idea was that so that it also enables agency owners to manage everything. So like, what we ended up realizing was people was using a base camp and then an SPP just because they had to manage team somewhere, manage clients somewhere, without like, just give them like the basics of team management. Then they can manage clients, teams, invoices, everything in one place. So we complete the whole journey.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So on that note, let's go ahead and dive right into the app. Can you give us a demo of the app as if we just started today?
Yeah, sure. Just share my screen. I think that's easier. So yeah, in in Agency Handy, just to basically I'll give you a simple brief here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the idea is fairly simple. As an agency owner, you have clients, you need to manage your team, and you have invoices. So but all of these things start with services, right? So you have your own services, and you have like, your list of services as well. I'll probably show from the sign-in part. I think that's probably easier for everyone to understand. Let me just show from the sign-in part.
Yep.
So
And
you
as
come
is,
in here. Yeah, sorry.
go ahead. As you're going through this, I may just interject here and there
Sure,
for
sure, yeah.
those that are kind of new to this world. In most cases, when you're starting a productized service, the idea is that you'll usually have one or maybe three, not you won't have 10 or 20. You'll have one to three services. That's the point of these productized services, is that you want to be good, you want to be great really at what you're delivering, and you want to be able to do it in a very repeatable manner over and over and over so that you can optimize and improve your SOPs. And the more that you're able to sell, the easier it becomes over time that you're able to deliver. So there's the selling aspect, and then there's the delivery aspect, and in between is all of the operational side of things, communication, delivering files, things of that nature. So keep it simple. Start with one service that you're going to deliver. Don't try to sell 15 things, because if you try to sell 15 things, you'll delete yourself. One is best. And for those that don't know, I run 3 productized services, one in the social media growth space, another in the list building, cold email marketing space, and another in the ad copy and ad creative space. So this is near and dear to my heart, which is one of the reasons why I had advised this team to go down this path of building a product specifically for service-based companies. So go ahead, Rashik. What are we
Yeah.
looking at here?
Right. So basically, as Charlie said, don't create a service list like this. It's sort of like a mixed bag of everything. So the way is pretty simple. So your first goal is here to create your own service, right? Whatever service you want to create, you put in a service name, you put in a description. You can put in a cover image, whether this is a one-time based pricing or whether you want this to be a recurring sort of pricing. What does your pricing look like? We have USD. I think like most other languages will be done over the weekend. So after the weekend, you'll have all the common, basically every language that's supported by Stripe will be available here as well. So then you have your duration, whether how much time do you need to deliver the service, and lastly, whether do you want this to be public or like not. So right now we don't have anything that you can make client specific, but it's more like whether this is something you want to keep it on a back burner and you'll probably publish somewhere on the line, or you want to publish right away. So I have all the services. I have a few services created. So once you create a service, it will look something like this. You have an image, you have your description, and all the other details. So what you can do with the service, right? So this is the second question that comes in. So once you create 5, 6, 7 different service, there are basically three things that you can do. So one is you can share each service as it is. So you can just click URL, you can paste it, email, WhatsApp, whatever, whatever is convenient for you. You share that link. I'll also show you what does that link show like. You can also do it as a catalog as well. So basically create a whole catalog of these services and then share this URL. And lastly, you can also copy it in your iframe. So basically you copy your iframe, you put it in the code of your website, and then it gets showcased in the website. So I'll just show you what the share URL look like. So if you share, it will show something like this. I've just created just for us to save that. This is what a catalog would look like. The basic difference is you will also have this purchase option. So users will be able to go sort of self checkout. If they click on this purchase, they put in their data, they pay you the money, and also there is a way to get data from them. I'll also come into that.
Got it. And so here what we just did is we created a service. That service goes into our service catalog.
Yeah.
And now we have a service catalog page and a way for potential clients to check out.
Yeah.
Got it. Perfect. And this operates through your Stripe account, correct? Meaning
No.
meaning the end user's Stripe account.
End user Stripe. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So right now, in terms of payment, we have Stripe. We'll have PayPal sometime next week as well. So by then, users will have the option to choose whether they want to receive the payment through Stripe or PayPal as well.
Got it. So from a payments perspective, the reason we go with Stripe and PayPal, they're the most common, most popular.
Yeah.
Those are the two that you need to have. PayPal's coming sometime next week.
Yeah.
So that's good. And with regard to someone asked the question, hey, can I have recurring billing? And the answer to that is obviously yes, because Stripe allows recurring billing, and so does even PayPal. And of course, you can also have one-time billing. Someone else had asked the question about split payments. Now, I don't know how popular that is. I don't use split payments. I like all my money up front. So let me ask you, Rashik, have you seen someone use split payments in this context?
To be honest, I've seen people use split payments, and we actually have developed with that in mind as well. So I'll just showcase one other thing before I go into this, because I think that keeps off way flow running pretty well. So whenever you whenever you pay for something, an order automatically gets created, and someone says this order, there's a payment has been done, and order automatically gets created. But one other way that we also realize that at the end of the day, a lot of service agency ends up ordering client or booking clients this way as well. So for example, someone would go into your website, see your service, probably set up a call with you, go into details, you have structured a deal, and you onboard them, right? So we also have a way to do that. So what you can do is, instead of just going for personal checkout, you can also do it for a particular client. You say this is the service I'm going to give them, whatever details, if you have project manager, then you can also automatically create an order for them as well, right? And this is something that a client can also do. If you give them a client sort of access, they can also come in and give you an order. So this is mostly for split payments, because if you pay upfront, that's paid up for front, right? So for this sort of orders, what you can do is, we have our invoices. So if you go in and if you create an invoice, so say for this client, I want to, for these are the orders for this client that's running for this orders, I want to send them a payment, and whatever amount you already paid, it will showcase here. So for example, if the client has, say, like, if there's a like $200 order and they have already paid 100, it will showcase 100 here, and then you can send an invoice for another 100. So
Got it.
you can add as many invoices as you want for each of those orders. And whenever you send an invoice, I'll just also show you here. I've also made a client login here as well, just to give you a clear idea of like what that process would look like. I think this login has been gone. I'll just like log in from a client portal as well, just so that everyone is clear
Okay.
about what the other part of the journey would look like. So if once you send an invoice, you'll get a link like this with your payment link here as well. So if you pay now, then it redirects to your Stripe account and they can pay as well. So again, it's it can be 2, 3, 4, however many invoices. That answer the question, I think.
Yes, it did. Yes, thanks.
Yeah. So right. So let's go down the road. So now we have clients. So what we also did is we let users have client portals, client profiles as well. So and it also showcases you. It's not like just gives you a bit of data point, but also recent data. Like if this client has particular orders, I'll just showcase for another client, which is I think this is orders. So if this client has this client already has this 2 orders that are running, you can also see what are the status of this. I'll also showcase tickets. We also have, you can raise tickets as clients and you can raise tickets as agency owners as well. So recent tickets and all the invoices. So basically every information that is relevant to client, you can also find in this client portal. Basically client, not really client portal, client profile. So there are 2 ways you can create a client profile, right? So one is, if you put in an order, right, we automatically send you an email saying that these are the details, go into this portal and put in your password and complete your profile. And the second way again around is again, if you don't have that, if you want to do it manually, again, if you had a conversation around, you can also create a profile for your client. System will automatically generate a password for the client, a temporary password. They can always change the password later down the line, and you have your own client portal, client profile as well. So here you will have the list of all the clients that you have, and you can basically see through all the different data points that are relevant for each of these clients.
So basically we have 2 things happening there, right? Which is depending on what your workflow is for your productized service or whatnot, if you want clients to have access, you can give them access and they'll get their own profile and their own login and whatnot. And if you don't, you can just manage it yourself as the agency owner. Okay, that's awesome.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And to be honest, we take it, I would say, a bit far as well, a bit beyond as well. So what we do is, say for example, in an order, I'll show from, I think, from forms here. I think this is better. So I think this is probably one of the main reasons why people end up using SPP over anything else was intake form. So I won't say it is not as customized as it is, because we have just launched the first version of it. The first version of even a customizable checkout forms to give you you can package orders, everything will be live next week. And we will keep on adding intake forms, keep on adding newer things to intake form as well. So what you can do is, for each of this order, you can create a form that with data points that are relevant to you. So whenever you are trying to create an order, we automatically give you an option to attach files. We don't have files yet. I think files will be live next week. But right now, what you can do is say you are doing an SEO level service, right? So you want to say that which are the keywords you want to focus, when do you want to start, if there is other details, what is the focus, what do you want to achieve with it. It can be a multiple choice question, and then when do you end. So something like this, but it can go even further down the line as well. Something like, it can be a formatted text, right? It can be give me a list of the keywords.
Yep.
Something like that, right? So you can also see it from a preview what that would look like. So they can just create a tab here and just create those keywords here as well. So the reason this is important is, so once you do it for a form, for each of this form, there's this information, intake information. If you have intake information, it will showcase here in this intake information section as well. I think I don't have any. But the other thing that I really wanted to show you was this. So assume like, you have this order, right? So, but an order in itself is like, just having whether an order is ongoing or not might not be, and in most cases not, right? You need to break it down to like, smaller task and everything. So for each of this order, we let you create like, task or task, assign task. I think like most people are aware with it. I'll just also still showcase like, what that model looks like. So for each of the tasks, this is what it looks like. So you have your description, when it is due, what is the priority, what is the status. We also have a Kanban board. Who is the person who is assigned to this, and what are the labels? So labels let you filter and everything when they create it. Also, you can attach files, obviously, once you are doing a task. For each of these tasks, we have a client communication section and also a team communication. So you have this team communication where you can basically chat or like, tag teammates, whatever, share files, whatever relevant to you. But you also have a client communication section where you basically communicate with your client. So these are two separate sections because we wanted to keep the team section separate because
Yeah.
like you have regular conversation.
Yep.
This last thing.
Actually, one more
Sorry.
thing before you continue.
Sure, sure.
So related to this intake form, so I think the important point there that people need to know, because everyone has a different type of agency and service, is that is a service intake form. So every service can essentially have an intake form associated with it. So in this scenario that you're showing, you're offering a service of SEO optimized articles. Therefore, the questions you have are going to be vastly different than someone who's offering social media growth, or where I may be asked saying, hey, I need your username and password, or I need this, I need to know the top 10 hashtags that you want to follow, or things of that nature. Or someone else who's doing cold email marketing, they may want to know more about just, what industry and what titles do you care about. So you can pretty much satisfy any type of agency because that intake form is specific to the service that the person bought, correct?
Yeah, and you can create more, like, you can even, I would say, like, dive deep into it as well. So for example, even if you're an SEO agency, right? So you might be working with like, long form articles. It might be like, website ordinance, like, there might be microservices that you offer. You can also do that as well. So for each intake form, we let you choose which service this intake form is like, most relevant to, as in like, where do you want to attach. So you can even create 4 or 5 different intake forms if you want to be very super specific for each of those services, and like, tag it to absolute accurate service as well.
Yeah.
And you can create, if you have 4 different service, 4 different intake forms, that's fine as well.
Yeah. So like for example, right now, for some of my companies, we actually redirect them to like a Google form or a Gravity form on our site, which then connects back into the back end and sends us a Slack message. What did they say? And then another VA copies that information into the client profile. In this scenario, all of that's right inside of AgencyHandy.
Right. Yeah. That's the goal. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah. Okay. And then the other thing I saw when you clicked inside of one of these orders, you were showing the communication between team and client. That's another thing that I thought was pretty interesting, because now you have an audit trail of everything you've talked to the client about, so you can't make up stuff, right? You can't say I emailed you and you didn't get back to me or whatnot. You have proof right here that this is what we said to them. And this way, if another team member comes on and wants to know, hey, what's the status? They don't need to ask the question. They can see it right here. Here's the communication channel. Here are internal team notes about this client or this task. Yeah, very cool. Love it.
One other thing I would like to add, like, and this is like, one of the fundamental reasons why we kept it. So I think, like, this is true for everything. People end up putting everything in chats, like, whether you use Slack, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever, right? People end up, so you have this designer chat where everyone is putting everything there, and it is almost impossible to follow back that, even within your internal team, follow back on that conversation. So for example, you might have said something super specific for this specific client, for the specific design or an article, and your editor might have just forgotten because, like, there is just no way to keep track. But the way we wanted to design it is that So whenever you are working on this, just come on here and see like if someone is there, or even you don't have to do it. Like, if someone does anything, it will obviously system will show you a notification for that as well, showing that, you have this something that you have to review. The last thing that I wanted to show here, I think that is mostly it, is for each of this article, we also ask you whether this is something that needs a client review. But because what we realize is, in a lot of cases, a lot of clients don't try to micromanage. Like, you probably say like there is a video that needs to be done, right? You have probably broken it down to 10 different tasks. The client probably doesn't need to review 10 different tasks. They might need to review just 2 tasks. So you can even like, put in as an option whether you want this to be reviewed by client as well. So what happens if you ask for a client review, and anytime you drag a task down to a review, this will automatically give clients a notification as well. I'll just show from here. Notification to client as well, saying like, someone has asked you to review like, a client a project. So I'll just not here. Let's just from here. So for example, in this task, you can see there is 2 articles that needs to be reviewed. If I click in here as a client, I have the option whether I either accept it or I reject it. If I accept it, it will move to done, saying that, this article has already been done. So again, the system automatically, it asks me to saying that, there is a task that needs to be reviewed. So this is the way we thought about it, is that like in all of those cases, like, clients might need you to like, give that review. So once that is done, it moves into that. So that is how like, we envision this to grow. And one other thing before I forget, for every page in AgencyHandy, we have multiple, like, almost everything you could think of is in filters. So it can be filtered by client, service, status, and that you might want to just know like, when the next 2 deadlines are coming. You can also see that as well. So, and this same for like, clients. In every page you have the option to filter and sort things out. Because right now we don't have a lot of data, but believe me, when you have like, 10 different clients and hundreds of tasks, you really love these filters. And we let you even label everything up as well. So for each of this time, there is an option you can also label it as well. So once you have hundreds of tasks, you'll really thank us that we added this label features.
Nice. Yeah. And you can filter by that label, right?
Yeah, you can filter that up by the label or even priority as well. You can just filter it out like, what's the highest priority task. This will show you what's the highest priority task. So yeah, basically every input that we give, we let users, and we will probably end up giving users a lot more other freedom as well. We'll probably let users create custom fields going forward. It's not really in the plan right now, but every field that we add will also be added in the label so that they can filter out.
Excellent. Excellent. So now that we have a service, can you explain the difference between orders and tasks?
Right. So think of it this way, right? So a client and you have a conversation, you have a service that you write, like say like, I'll just one example. You write a $2,000 2,000 word SEO optimized article. That is the order, right? The client have paid you like $50 for it or $100 for it, and now you want. But that's not going to get it done by itself. So you have to create probably have to do a keyword research first. Then you have to create an outline first. Then write the article, and then editor edits the article, and then you have something to basically show it to client. So that is when you have this one order, that is you have to submit a 2,000 word article, but then you break it down to 5 different things for you to follow back on, because that 2,000 word article will probably have to be submitted by 2 weeks from now on, but you have to do a bunch of other tasks for you to make the deadline. So you break that 2 weeks into like 3 day span of 5 different tasks. And then by the end of those 2 weeks, you have those 5 tasks completed, and you also have that order completed. And that is when that client review things comes in handy as well. Because think of those other 4 steps. You don't really want client to be reviewed. In most cases, you don't want them to be review all those 4 steps. If you don't, you can just skip that, and you can just accept it on your own, and you deliver the client the final thing, and then you have the client back and forth conversation in that. So yeah, order is more of the macro thing, and then you break it down to more day-to-day stuff into task.
Got it. Very good. Very good. Okay, so what else do we need to know in here? I see a few other screens.
Yeah. So once you you have a service, you have onboarded client, you have orders, everything, right? One other things that we saw is that a lot of cases you can't really pick and choose exactly what you have. So what do you mean by this? So for in a service, right? You are putting a few very specific details. You're putting what's the duration, what's the quantity, and say what's the price. There's a price $1. I was just checking the price. So yeah, you have this $100 pricing, one quantity as it takes a certain amount of time, right? But in a lot of cases, what ends up happening is that it might not be exactly like that. You need to have a bit of a flexibility when it comes to the client. So what you can do is say with a you had client requirement and everything from a call, then you send a client a proposal and you have created a profile for them. You select I will do this service, and but you have some level of optimization. It can be like instead of taking 2 weeks, I'll deliver it by 1 week or something like this, some sort of detail. You add those details and you can create a bit of a custom offering for them. So instead of say $100, here I'll charge you $200 because I'm giving you on a short time span and they put in time span. So you can create a proposal for them. The way it would look like is that basically something like this. You have sent this proposal. I'll also show you from a client end what it looks like. So if you send a client a proposal on this, there's a problem with incognito. Incognito just randomly logs you. So in proposal, basically the way around is that both what we have done is both client and agency owners can send proposals. So if you as an agency owner send them a proposal, this is what they look like. They have the option this is something that I've already accepted, so it's showing accepted. If not, it will also show me whether I want to accept this or not. If I as a client as well, for example, you have given me client credentials and you've just sent me, okay, just look into my service catalog and see whether you like a service. But I look into the service catalog and think I like it, but I want to customize it. So you have this option to create a proposal from here on here. So you as a client as well can offer an agency saying I need this, but I need this and tweaks. I'm more willing to pay this. So as an agency owner, you will also have the option whether to accept or reject. So you will see this in receipt. You'll have option whether you want to accept this proposal or reject. We don't have negotiation on proposal yet. So it's plain yes or no. If you accept it, it will automatically convert into an order with all these details. If you reject it, it just gets rejected. So that is the idea of proposal itself.
Got it. Very good. And question on the proposals.
Yeah.
How customizable are they in terms of do they get a PDF via email? Is it baked into the email? Can I change the color from black to yellow? Put my logo at the top?
So as of right now, it will be somewhat it won't be that customized, but if you want a PDF and you want to send it to a client, we can obviously introduce that. We haven't introduced that in proposal, but say for example in invoices, we let you download an invoice. If you have your logo will showcase here as well, but it's not to a large that super extended customizable. So the idea is that if you send this, they'll also get an email saying someone has sent you a proposal, but we don't have all those other options. But yeah, those are very easily doable. If there is a demand for it, we can incorporate that.
Got it. One other question I had related to
Yeah.
proposals from someone in the Facebook group was, do you have the concept of an e-sign for the proposal?
As of now, not really. So the way we thought about it is we thought about it honestly. We thought about the e-sign thing, to be honest, and this why we kept proposal for only people who can log into it. So that was our way to make sure that you already this is not client who's accepting or not. So we don't have e-sign yet. The way we thought about it is probably e-sign will come say 2-3 steps down the line. So we want to turn proposals into more of a doc form. So giving users templates to use, as I said, in a lot of cases, it's not just like, a bunch of numbers. There's a lot of, details you have to put into it as well. A lot of more like, doc sort of format. So we'll let user do that first, and then like, e-sign is like, the next step forward, but it's not that yet. Yeah.
Got it. All right, excellent. All right, and so can we talk about tickets now? Because I like that. I like that a lot.
Right. So in tickets, the idea is fairly similar to like, a task. The profile looks pretty similar as well. So the idea is, and I would say ticket is probably more relevant from customers point of view. I'll just show from customers point of view. I think, like, because at the end of the day, tickets is something that customers are going to raise, right? So the idea is fairly simple, is that you as a customer, you have like, you have, in general, a customer will have one order, right? It's just to showcase. So you have this one order. You can create a ticket for saying like, daily updates, and give it something like this. And the good thing about this is you can also like, tag it. Whenever you create a ticket, it automatically also shows into the dashboard of the super admin. I'll show you here as well. So for example, if a client for you, Charlie, like, for whatever service they create a ticket, once you log into your dashboard, you will see that ticket, that our ticket has been created. Because a lot of time what we saw ends up happening is that, say, like, a founder is like awkward with hundreds of other things, so they probably missed a issue or a query that was raised by client, so that might miss it. And you can also put it like, there's a highest priority thing, and you really need to see in that. So what happens is, even with the ticket, the process is fairly simple. We have a client facing communication, we have a team facing communication as well. And in the dashboard, it will show here that which are the recent open tickets and whether this have been solved or not. So you can just click and see like whether the recent most important ticket has been solved or not. So yeah, and again, that was similar on client end as well. You see all those different details. You have a client facing communication and the team facing communication as well. And as like the admin, you also see all the the recent ticket, which are the clients, like orders, order ID, and different. So yeah, you can basically pick and say, and you can assign it to people as well. Say you've seen an important ticket, you can assign it to someone, they can take care of that order. They will get a notification like they've been assigned a ticket. So yeah, that's our way for, instead of like shooting you an email, just come here and create a ticket. Just keeps things a lot more organized.
Got it. Okay. And what languages are currently available? I know you have, I think, 2 languages that are enabled.
I think Charlie, by Sunday we'll have most of the like the prominent languages online.
Oh wow. Okay, that's fast. Okay.
Yeah, I think it should be tomorrow, but I'm just taking here like 2-3
No, be
days.
conservative. Yeah, be conservative. If someone asks me, I'm going to tell them it's next week sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, by
rather
next
be
week
conservative.
we'll have like 2 things that were requested a lot. So we just thought like we'll push this fast. One was currency, because
Yep.
we just have USD right now. So currency and languages both will be live by like Sunday.
Nice. Okay. All right. That's great, because someone asked about German language in the comments, and then at least
We
5 or
also
10
got
people
requests
asked.
for like Spanish, to that extent that I think like one client, I think like 20-30 minutes before the call, said that he's really happy with the solution, and if even if we need help, he'll even help us to translate to Spanish, because he really needs Spanish. So I was like,
Yeah, that's what I love about some of these
Yeah.
community members. They're really good about that.
Yeah.
So yeah. So for those asking about languages, they will have more languages available soon. Let's see what drops next week. And then if there are any other requests, we can always just make those requests. And as long as they can translate accordingly, I'm sure they can get it in there. So that's good, because now you basically have an entire agency operations platform that's in your own language. So whether you're running
To be honest, like
service in
like the
Spanish, doesn't
client,
matter.
yeah, to be honest, like with the client request was a bit, I would say, even a step further. So what they were saying, if I understood correctly, and the way we think about it is, once you're trying this like with a create client portal, we'll let you choose. This one like on Sunday, but this is something that I think like we talked today, is with address we'll also have a language tab here as well. So even for a specific client, you'll be able to choose what language you want to set their client portal there as well.
Oh,
They'll
nice.
always have an option to change it further down the line, but it's not just for you, but also you can set it up for your teammates, for your clients as well. We'll give you that option.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, okay. And then someone asked the question, where are you registered? Where's the business registered? Is it in Bangladesh? Is it in Singapore, Europe, America? Where is it registered?
The business is registered in Singapore right now.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. And I'm just going through a few questions so I can get everybody here. And we already talked about the invoice part of this. Oh, no, actually, we'll get to that as well. So I'm going to hold that question about invoices because you'll probably be showing us the invoices soon. So let's let you continue, and then I'll hold some of these questions to the end.
So in Teams, we kept a bit simple. So sorry. So in Teams, what we do is you have the option, if you you'll just enter an email and add people. You can add multiple people at once as well. We have these 4 specific roles, and we have a role permission that sort of tells you what each of these roles can do or can't do. So we have for admin, PM, and assignee. So the way we think about it, and I think this probably the easiest way, is people who are assigning are only going to see the task and nothing else, right? So for example, it can be your designer, it can be your writer. They're only going to see that specific task and nothing else. They won't get to see order details, client information, and most other important. They won't have client or other tabs here as well. What was the deal like and everything. Then you have project managers will have access to everything in that order. Admin and super admin would have access to most of the things, here.
Yep.
So yeah, that is general, fairly easy to understand. Then we go to invoices. I think I've shown quite a bit already, but let me just showcase here. So again, process is simple. You put in whatever client for which order the invoice is. You have to put in all the necessary. I'll just put in Bangladesh because I have the details, everything. So you put in all the necessary details. You put in all the necessary details. If you already have sent an invoice, it will showcase that there is a paid amount. So it can be $100. You've already paid for $50. So it will also already show 50 is paid, 50 is due for this particular order. So if you have 2 different invoices for a particular order, it will also show you. You have your amount, this $100. If you want to give them a discount, say a 10% discount, and then if you have I already have $50 paid, I'm just putting it manually, but I can also system will showcase you, and then you can write a note, any other details or anything. So for example, if you want to just transfer it to bank, you can also, we don't have an open bank API yet, but just in case if someone wants to do a wire transfer and just want to send the bank details, they can also do that here as well. So if you create an invoice, it will show like this. So then you'll have the option, either you want to download, you can print the invoice as well, or you can just send the invoice. If you send the invoice, it will automatically go to a client. And as I showed earlier, the client will get an invoice. The client will get an invoice with the idea that these are the details, this is the company where invoice came from. I have this pay now option. I just pay, and then they go into your payment portal, right? So that is basically it when it comes to invoices. Then we have integration, as I said, only Stripe right now. People would be live next week. The only other things, 2 other integrations that are high on our priority are Zapier and Slack. It can change depending upon how what's the request we get, but honestly we haven't gotten any requests beyond people. Maybe to be honest, a few of them actually have asked for open, what's it called, open bank API, right? With let's see wire transfer. So that's the one probably we got the highest. We're looking into it and how we can also get in. But I think after PayPal, Stripe and Zapier and Slack are the ones that are in our priority.
Yep.
Lastly,
that's what I'd say as well. The Zapier and Slack are probably the most relevant in
Yeah.
terms of priority. So I agree, if you could get those in, I think we're in a very good spot here with regard to being able to run an entire productized service right from Agency Handy. Just out of curiosity, not going to hold you to it.
Yeah.
What do you think is a rough time estimate for the Zapier and Slack?
To be honest, like I'd say not in next 2 weeks. I think sometime next month is
Yeah.
like what we thought about Slack first. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine. I'm just trying to get a sense so people
Yeah.
understand when they can use it. And even if you said 3 months from now, that's still a perfectly
Yeah.
valid and good answer, in my opinion.
Right. So files is there's not a not a lot to it, but the idea of files is basically whenever you create an order, we automatically create a folder for you. It's sort of like you can think of it as a Google Drive, like how Google Drive operates. So we created folder for you for each of these orders, and it's we shown you for each task you can attach files and everything. And at the end of the day, that can also get messy. So for each of the files that you share in particular orders, no matter how, it automatically gets stored into into this folder. So the way we thought about files is basically it helps you sort of structure all the shared files across different projects, different orders, different tasks. It just helps you store everything in a more structured manner. That is it. So that was the first bit. Once we were also looking into feedback edits and version control as well. So but that might take like a month or two to get live. So once we have version control in, then within files you'll also also see different versions of a particular file as well. But as of now, it's just way to for you to structure all the files that you've shared. That is roughly it. So I'll also show you. So this profile, nothing to see here. So custom domain, you can also set up your own custom domain here as well, and also log in from the custom domain itself to showcase you can do it. So just to give you an idea, so I shared this from my custom domain. So this is what the client would see. It's completely from my personal domain. So you can set up your own custom domain here as well. Logo and color, you can upload your own logo, set up your colors and everything. Two other things that we are going to do when it comes to custom domain and basically, so one is just to showcase you here. Sorry, right. So if I come in from this, so this is this is my custom domain. So two other things that we are customizing, right? So one is in this space, you will once you have your custom domain separate, I think this is for next week. This will be live next week. You'll be able to put in your own image and will showcase your logo here. So that is one. The second part is I'll just from here. The second part is right now, even most of all the emails go from whatever dot agency handy, it still shows agency handy. So next week we'll have the left side where you'll be able to showcase your basically here. We'll also just add a layer for you to put in your own fonts and your left side image as well. And going forward, I think the following week, as in last week of February, will also let you use not only custom domain but also your custom email. So you'll be able to sort of link your own email here as well. So that every email and every notification, everything goes from whatever from your domain, not from. So customer will have the experience that this is not completely customizable. Then you'll have more or less a white label version
Yep.
of it. Yeah. So that is coming in next week or so.
That's awesome. Very cool. Question for someone who wants to run an agency but has their own payment system.
Yeah.
If we think about that, where they're taking payments on their website,
Okay.
and so for example, even in my own business, I take payments via WooCommerce, via the website.
Yeah.
Then what I do is I direct them to a form, an intake form,
Yeah.
and that gets them set up in the system.
Yeah.
So two-part question. Number one, is that possible, or do we have to use your payment system? And then number two, if it is possible, is the service intake form have a public URL, which meaning I can redirect them after they check out on WooCommerce on my main site. I can redirect them to Agency Handy's intake form for that service.
It doesn't have right now, but it's something that we can obviously incorporate. So for service, we give them basically like, a URL. So
Yeah.
it can obviously, because I didn't think about this use case. So it can obviously be done. And for the payment itself, in that regard, we would have to probably integrate WooCommerce into our integrations. I think before that integration is done, I don't think so you'll be able to do it.
Yep.
But I think intake form can be made public pretty easily. I don't think so that will be a lot of hassle.
Yeah. So yeah, if you could do that, I think the flow still works for people who say, I don't want to have my payment system via Agency Handy. I want it outside because I use some, crazy outlandish.
If I just
gateway.
want to, well, just from my clarification. So how
Mhm.
does the order gets created? There are two ways you can create an order. One,
Mhm.
there's a self checkout. So as I showed, someone orders and there's a self checkout process. And the second is they have to create an order manually.
Yep.
So in a case where payment is done probably somewhere else, will they be willing to create an order by themselves?
Yes, in that scenario I described, they would use the manually create order process.
If they create a manual order, the system will automatically. So even if you create a manual order, system will ask you for a intake form, and if you don't have an intake form, system will keep on reminding that you need to fill up the intake form. So even if you are doing a manual order, in the next screen it will show you give me data points for this intake form. I'll just show you. Probably for this there wasn't. I'll just show this for one. There's intake form. For each of these orders, so basically, even if you create order from here, the system will still ask you to put in your index for data points as well. So you'll have that option. So you can put in those data points. If you have that, you can do it. Or if you don't have them, we'll just make a shareable link for them, and they can share it with their clients, and they can just put in those details, and that will be updated.
Yep. Yeah, I think if it just becomes a shareable URL, that even afterwards, even if we have to manually create the order and then say this intake form that was submitted connects to this order, that solves the use case.
The only other thing that you need to do here, so just showing people. So if once you create an intake form, so I'll just make a slide. So I'll just add another. So if once you create an intake form, the system also asks you whether you want to create this intake form pre-purchase or post-purchase. So just give it to post-purchase. So that means the purchase has been done. You can also do it pre-purchase as well. Just to give user an idea. So we have all those flexibility. So I don't think that will be a big hassle. Just giving you a shareable URL will.
Yeah, it looks like you can do it based on what I just saw. So yeah, you can definitely have your own payment system and then just manually create the order and get the intake form done. Cool, that's awesome. Someone asked a question about GDPR, right? Where are your servers located, and do you think you will be GDPR compliant?
To be honest, for me to say GDPR compliance doesn't really add a lot of value. There has to be a certification process and So we honestly, the way we have prepared it, there shouldn't be any issues. I think we are hoping somewhere next month to apply for a compliance certificate, so that it's GDPR compliance. And because it's our data server is in AWS, DB is MongoDB, we tend to follow every standard privacy protocol that it almost every other software does as well. So in terms of GDPR policy in our backend, there is no issues. We just haven't applied for a certification yet, because we talked about it for one thread, doing one thread, it takes a bit of time. So we thought we'll do it probably in due course, probably in a month or 2 months time.
Yep. Yep. Very cool. All right. And let's see. Will the invoice payments get automatically marked as paid after they're paid, or you have to mark it as paid?
No, if they even pay upfront, even for example like this, right? So this was the client that already paid upfront. So even that it gets paid, even once they pay, it will automatically get paid. The status changes automatically.
Perfect.
But we also have that option that you can also manually change it. So for example, say like someone is doing wire transfer, bank transfer, in any other payment way that we don't have support. If you send invoice, you get money, you can also manually change as well. So that option is also there.
Got it. Perfect. All right. Let's see. One question I want to talk about is workspaces. Can you describe the workspaces that's going to be coming in the near future? I know it's probably a month or two or more out, but I know we discussed it.
Yeah.
For those that are listening, why would they use a workspace? How will that work? What will it look like? Things like that.
So if it's fine, I'll just showcase from what we have in one thread, and I think this will show them what we have in mind. So in one thread, we actually have that. I didn't think this will come in handy here as well. So in what you do is we let you have, so as a you are a member of all these companies, so you can move in between these companies as well. You have the option, let's just say subscription expert, but you have that option to move between different companies as well. So this is how our workspace will work as well. That is the plan. So for example, you as a super admin, you can have different teams, and again, fairly simple. This the whole process will be replicated. And I think also one other question that I got quite frequently was whether custom domain support will be similar. Yes, it will be. So assume this as a workspace. Everything that I have shown you, every feature that I've talked about will be available in each of the workspace. The only added benefit that you get as an admin, that you will have a toggle where you will be able to switch between different workspaces. You don't have to sign out from one and sign into another. So you'll get that option. And for as we said in our LTD plan, for the tier 3 up to 10 workspaces, there will be no additional charges. So with this plan, we'll cover additional 10 other workspaces as well.
Gotcha. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Let's see. I think I've cleared most of the questions that were answered here. Anyone answered that. Oh, okay. So this is a good question from Abdul. Can we showcase our offerings within a bespoke micro marketplace tailored to our clientele, or within an online micro marketplace that is made publicly accessible? Now, I know that's not the core of the app, but seems like a very cool idea. Over time, as more and more of these microservices become available, it'd be nice to kind of have a page that says, hey, you can buy this or that from person A or person B or agency A or agency Y. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, to be honest, there were two ways I thought about this. So one is obviously something that they've already mentioned, right? If there is a bit of catch, because each agency has their own services and data plans, we'll have to talk to them, how open they are to that idea, because a lot of people probably if they might not want to, but if they want to, there is no problem for our end, right? For example, if you're a buyer, we can always create a sort of marketplace in there as well, right? Because we'll also have at least a bit of data point of how many clients they've worked with, how many orders. If they if everyone is comfortable, we can also showcase those data points as well. So something like that. But also one other way we thought about this as is that, say once we have a bigger audience as well, we could also offer microservices to them as well. For example, what you mentioned, e-signature. things like there are like smaller even like products out there where we can integrate, not really integrate, but also like provide them an exclusive offer that they will only get through like agency handy. So like things that are super relevant to like other customer sort of like product services, something like CRM, probably like link to 3 CRM where they'll get exclusive services offers as well. So something like that. I thought about this marketplace on two ends, one for agency owners themselves and then one for the clients of those agency owners. So both have like something they can look forward to in this.
All right. And then, okay, got that question. Within the proposals, I know we just talked about the e-signature, but within the proposals, could you add a field for just an e-sign that constitutes an e-sign?
We can, but then we would have to also integrate like I'd say, do you want it to be just a normal e-sign or an
Yeah.
integration with another e-signature?
Yeah, I think there's two levels of e-signatures. I don't think you need to get to the DocuSign level or anything like
Yeah,
that. So let's disregard that. Let's focus on kind of the MVP version. I look at this more so as it's just coverage from a liability perspective. If
right.
ever a client doesn't pay or whatever, at least we could say like, look, you signed up to these terms. So very similar to, and so I think of it as the MVP version of it is, hey, here's a field to sign to say you agree to this proposal or these terms, and that's good enough.
Yeah,
It's kind of what I've seen also in a few of the other apps is that's about as the far as they go. So to me, it's no more than an extra field. I
yeah,
don't think you need to go down the route of having third-party APIs and
yeah,
KYC and identification validation and all of that. Don't go down
yeah,
that route. I think that complicates life.
yeah. No, I think that can be done. I don't think so that will be a lot of work. That can easily be done, I think. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So I think all those questions got answered. And let's see, we'll watch. Okay, I think it will be better each of the team have private access. Someone, Rio asked if each of the team members will have private access. So Rio, the way I understand the roles from super admin, admin, project manager, and assignee is that the assignee only sees their own tasks and nothing else anyway. So in that
Yeah.
sense, it is private access.
Yeah.
The client has their own access, which is only client-facing information anyway. So in that sense, I think it's already covered what you're asking. Let me know
Yeah.
if I, got that wrong, Rio, but I think it's covered. Okay, so I think we're good, and we're probably reaching the end of time. So one of the things I wanted to do to try to help people understand this productized service world and how easy yet difficult, but easy it can be to launch your own productized service is I wanted to actually have a little challenge going for the community. So I haven't announced this to anybody. Even Rashik doesn't even know that I'm about to talk about this. So let me go ahead and put it on my screen as to what I'm thinking. And we're just all going to have a little fun. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to do a 30-day challenge for the community. And this is open to anybody. You don't necessarily have to be from Rocket Hub's community. As long as you're interested in making money online and building a service, let's go ahead and have a 30-day challenge and help each other grow a productized service. So let me share my screen here. Here's what I'm thinking. Can everybody see my screen? All right, good. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. 30-day challenge to launch a productized service. And what we're going to do is we're going to let everybody participate. Does not matter if you're in our community or not, could be anywhere. Let's get, 10, 20, 50, 100, hey, more the merrier. But let's get some, agency entrepreneurs here who maybe whether they've done an agency before, a productized service before, or they've never done it and they're wondering, hey, is this something for me? Let's have a 30-day challenge where in 30 days, we're going to launch your productized service. You're going to use Agency Handy to handle the operations. So there goes more than 50% of the effort that most people struggle through is they try to spend too much time thinking about how am I going to take this tool and make it connect to this tool and how is this going to work, and forget all of that. Throw that out the window. All we want you to focus on is selling. Market your product. So 30 days, we're going to break it down into weeks, and everyone's going to do a check-in on a weekly basis in a specific Facebook thread that I'm going to post on Rocket Hub. So, and we'll do it in two places. We'll do it on Rocket Hub, and I think Agency Handy Team, you guys created a Facebook group as well. So let's use that too. So I'm going to create a Facebook thread in Rocket Hub that we can use for this 30-day challenge. Every participant can go ahead and post in there how they're doing and their weekly updates. So here's what I'm thinking. Week 1, go ahead and buy any tier Agency Handy. Since this is for the challenge, I don't care if you buy the smallest plan. That's all you'll really need for one agency anyway. So go ahead, buy Agency Handy. The smallest plan will work just fine for this challenge. And the idea is get it all set up within Agency Handy. Rashik, Asif, and the team will help you get your service set up and make sure everything's working. And then every week, we're going to post in that thread how we're progressing. Now, for those of you that are like, well, I don't know what to do once I get Agency Handy set up, Asif, myself, Rashik, and a few others, we've done this several times before. So we will post in there how to market your service. But of course, what I want from you guys is to tell us what service are you launching. Send us the service page. Send us your service catalog. Let's all see what everybody's selling out there. And then let's go ahead and help each other to identify how could you market that. And then every week, as long as you're doing your job and you're actually putting in real elbow grease, real effort, okay? You don't get anything if you just sit there and wait for clients. That's not how this works. You got to actually market your service. And that's what we want you spending the majority of your time on, right? Is marketing your service. Agency Handy will handle everything else behind the scenes. A customer comes to your service catalog page, buys a service, boom, money in the door. And that's what we want to see is how many of you can actually generate money using Agency Handy and selling your service. We expect that you can deliver and fulfill on your service, which I'm sure you guys can. And so week 1, get Agency Handy set up, get your service catalog URL, post it in the thread so we know you're in the contest. Week 2, 3, 4, every Monday, let's go ahead and post our progress. What did you do that week? What are you going to do next week? How are you going to market this? Do you have any questions? You can ask us questions if you like. We'll be happy to help. We're growth hackers. We know a little bit about this. And then based on that, we will just apply some very simple rules for this challenge. Number 1, you got to have a new service, okay? If you're already doing 100K MRR, you're kind of cheating, okay? Let's start a new service. Be bold, be creative. Don't let anything stop you. You'd be surprised what type of productized services can succeed. In fact, one tip I'll give you is the narrower the service, the easier for you to get clients. So for example, you don't want to create a service that says, I'll do digital marketing for you. That's not specific enough. Instead, you go down the service of, let's say, I'll write a video script for your video. That's a much narrower, very specific, well-defined service. So that's how you want to think about this. Post in the thread every month with your progress and quick bullets on what you did to market it. And then 3, let's all support each other on this 30-day journey. That's how long the deal is going to last, is 30 days anyway. So this will be perfect. Get to use the product. If you love it, you obviously will keep it. If you don't, no worries, just refund it, no big deal. But we want you to actually see that this is a business in a box. Agency Handy is essentially a business in a box. It runs your entire agency operations on the back end. And with all these new things that are coming, you're going to be in a very good spot. And for the cost, I mean, this is cheap, right? So we're looking at Agency Handy here. We're looking at $79 to start your own business, to $299 to start 10 businesses for all I care, okay? So you're in a very good spot to have software that helps you run your entire service delivery. If you're complaining about price beyond that, I can't help you, okay? This is as good as it ever gets. There are other platforms out there. You can use those too, but for this contest, we really want you to use Agency Handy, so use that. Now I'm going to sweeten the deal for you guys. The top 3 winners, people who can show us a screenshot of the money they collected via Agency Handy, just show us your screenshot that you collected some funds. The top 3 revenue generators will win not only their Agency Handy Pro license for free, so we'll choose 3 of them, but I'll also be throwing in an SEO pilot higher tier license as well for you. And if you're having any trouble generating leads or finding leads or whatnot, data, you know what? I just told the team, I just got an IM from them, that I will also throw in the Lead Bites funded startups list subscription to this. So you're getting about $1,000 worth of software here and data. It's just to participate in the 30-day challenge to help you build your own agency and make money. Okay. So if you don't love me after that, I'm never going to win you over. Okay. So 30-day challenge, launch your own productized service using Agency Handy. That's the goal. Look for the Facebook thread, raise your hand in the Facebook thread that you're going to be participating, send us your service catalog so we know you're in for good. And then again, just every Monday, just share your progress and let's make this happen, and share it everywhere else too, so that we can get more people involved. But earlier I told you guys, I run 3 productized services. They all do very well. You can Google them if you like. And for me, productized services is kind of the name of the game. This is a space that I think most agencies are going to end up going, where they're going to have very well-defined deliverables for clients. So think along those lines. If you are ideating over what should you launch or whatnot, I'm happy to help you, but I'll help you in that Facebook thread. Ask the questions in the Facebook thread. Let's make that the most useful Facebook thread for anyone who wants to launch a productized service. Okay. Any questions about this 30-day challenge? Everybody understand it?
Also, if anyone needs help with their leads or marketing their product or service, I'll be there. I'll try my best to share my knowledge. I have a little bit experience in building agencies and product services as well. I have been marketing product as well. So I have some growth hacking experience in my bag. I would love to help you out, guys, if you are up for it, because that will help our product better as well. So it's a win-win deal for us.
Yep, absolutely. All right. So I don't, Fred asked, when does it start? Immediately. So we are at February 14. We would like this 30-day challenge to end, let's say March 15. You know, everybody gets a good amount of time to really get their agency off the ground. I did not ask Rashik for permission if I can extend it those few extra days. So I'll do it on the air here so that he can't say no to me. So do you mind if I extend the deal by that extra week?
Nice, fine.
All right, cool. So there you go. We got our 30-day challenge. Fred, any other questions, Fred? All right, I'm going to assume that's no. All right. All right, cool. Then we are going live. In fact, I'm even thinking I'll participate. I know I'm kind of cheating there, but I want to participate and launch a new productized service as well. So maybe I'll also jump in there
Can
with
I
you
join as
guys.
well, Charlie?
Yeah, why not? Right? Why not? Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
Let's do
Let
it.
me
Everybody launch a
technique
service,
productized
man.
service. Yeah.
But one of the things that before we end, one of the things that I think, and this has nothing to do with Agency Handy or anything in Rocket Hub, but maybe just Charlie being Charlie talking. And I know I've already talked a lot, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know that they are experts at something and that they can monetize it. And I talk to at least 1,000 entrepreneurs every year. 1,000, literally. I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating there. And it's crazy to me how a lot of them are so talented, but can't monetize their talent. And in most of the cases, I would probably be advising them to just focus on that one thing that they are the best at. And in that scenario, it's a productized service. They should be putting themselves out there as the best at X or Y or Z and selling that all day long. Okay. So, yep. Any other questions, guys? Thanks for the hairdo compliment. I like it. All right, then I'm going to wrap it up. Sorry I took so much of your time, but we'll cut this. We'll put this in the Facebook thread, and this webinar recording will also be on YouTube shortly. Okay, cool.
Really,
Thanks.
just one,
Go ahead, Rashik.
yeah. So I think like someone asked last question. I wanted to say like, type answer, but I just clicked on answer live. So I'll just answer it like, so I think like, yeah, signing in a lot of cases is probably like the legal validity. I think in a few weeks time, you can expect signing to be live. I think like, I don't think so. It will take more time because it's fairly easy thing to achieve. And the last comment that I wanted to make is really honest. I think like, and Asif can also back me on this, is I'm fairly certain when I say this that we won't be launching another lifetime deal, like, or at least not on Agency Handy anytime in future as well. So I would genuinely suggest like, this is probably like, if you are in the LTDs, if you are like, looking to buy a lifetime deal, and if you are like, let's don't say names, but if you're waiting for a like, better deal somewhere down the line, that will probably not come sometime in future. We're probably going to focus on MRR, like, fairly soon afterwards.
I mean, we had no plan for going for a lifetime deal, to be very honest. My other product, when I launched my other SaaS companies, I never went for a lifetime deal. So the reason why we went to Rocket Hub, because Charlie is really good mentor, and he pushed us that we should launch the product here to get all these feedbacks, tiny details, so that it can help us really, fast to make the product in the way that we want. So we are like, okay, then we can do it. And we also gave Charlie very limitation on the codes, that we don't want to give so much on that part. So yeah, will not be ever in AppSumo or anywhere. That is certain.
All right, well, good. There you go. Now you guys see why we do end up with some great entrepreneurs at Rocket Hub, and sometimes I do have to twist their arms to get them here. But thanks for Rashik and Asif for giving us the opportunity to launch your product on Rocket Hub and to the community. Great. All right, well, let's sign off. Talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.